Today we're catching some sun and waves with Robbie, a QHS member whose life is as vibrant and refreshing as a seaside breeze. What currents brought her to the sunny shores of the quantum shift? Let's surf behind the scenes to see the waves she's been riding.
Hi, my name's Robbie. I was born in Kansas. At a very young age, our family moved. I thought I was going to plan my whole life with my best friend. We were going to go to kindergarten together. I never stayed in one place again for more than 3 years until I married my husband 42 years ago. We moved every year of my life. I loved it. I thought it was way cool to have new friends every year. And I knew that if I wanted to, I could always contact my old friends. So my dad was, people always think that I must have been an Army brat because we moved every single year. But what it was my dad was a journeyman plumber, and he said he thought maybe that meant he needed to journey. And so every year, the day school was out, our parents would pick us up at school, and we would already be packed and loaded and on to the next place. As a young child, I had no idea where that was going to be, but it didn't matter to me. I was okay with that. I have a brother and a sister. My brother committed suicide, and so now I just have a sister. My parents have both passed away, so we moved every year. So we moved not just from town to town, we moved from state to state. We went from Kansas to Missouri to Michigan to back to Kansas to, I don't even remember where we all were. We just traveled. And when we ended up in California, my dad went to work for Kaiser Steel iron ore mine out in the middle of the desert. And I just loved it. I loved everything about it. And he loved everything about it. And he stayed there. But then my parents divorced, and so I was off again onto another adventure. And we moved to different places in California. I didn't love that, but I was okay with that. I made friends easily, so it was okay for me. And then we moved back to where my dad lived in the desert. And by then I was about ready to graduate from high school. So I went to a different school every year. I went to every year. 2 years in one town in California, and I think between coming and going 2 years or maybe 4 in another town. Anyway, and so then when I graduated from high school, I went to cosmetology school in California, and it's all I knew. I always wanted to do that. I love that. I'm super creative. I loved talking to people, and I loved the creativity that I could have, the freedom that I could have to do that. So I did that. I got married and had 2 kids, and off again. We moved to Wyoming, and that was another move and a move and a move. I guess he liked to travel too. I was married for 12 years, and then I got a divorce. And I married my husband. I'm married to now. We've been married for 42 years. We have 2 more children. And so the 2 sets of kids are 12 years apart. So I have grandkids from 25 to 2. Nope, she just turned 3. The kids are fun. We don't really have any that are close. We live in Idaho in another small community. I love small towns. I don't love this town. I've been there a long time, but people ask me why I stay, and I said because my husband loves it, and I love my husband, and I want to be with him. So I just make the best of that. I love creating businesses. I love to create businesses. I don't love to work in them. So my husband's a dentist. So we bought a building and designed and built his dental office. And I worked for him. I worked in the office. I don't enjoy the office manager part, but I did that. I did the receptionist and all those things that you have to do. and I also assisted. I loved assisting as long as I was working with him. Then I built a tanning salon. So I did that for quite a few years until I had an accident and my brain could not function well enough to run the business. So I had someone else running it for me, and finally I said, I don't believe I'm ever going to be able to do it again. So I sold it. And my husband had me come and work back in the office. He thought if someone could watch over me and help me and guide me, that could be therapy for me. Well, I don't know if it was or not, but they got tired of finding things that I put in strange places, especially patient charts. So I stayed a while, and then I just felt like I was being a hindrance to them. And then there was a house that we really liked, that was the properties adjoined to the property where our business was. And we wanted not the house particularly, but it had a large parking lot, and our business did not have a large parking lot. So we bought the house to have the parking lot. And so I said, oh, this is great. I'll make it into a restaurant. So I did. And my husband's like, how are we going to do that? And I said, I want to do that. So we just started making this house into a restaurant and had a bigger kitchen built on. And the house is on the National Register of Historic Places, so it was kind of fun. And then we ran that for a while. And then mostly I leased it out for the next probably 15 to 20 years. And then when we were done leasing it out, I went and was running it again. And I just couldn't deal emotionally with all of the things that go on in restaurants. I just couldn't cope with that. And so I was actually at my sister's house in Arizona, where I am right now, visiting. And I came here to be with my dad, who was dying. So I was here, and all of the people at the restaurant, the employees kept calling me and saying, complaining about whatever was happening. And I was telling my sister, and she said, you don't need a restaurant, close it. And I'm like, oh, good idea. So I went home. After my dad passed away, I went home, and I said, I'm closing the restaurant, and I'm going to make it into a bed and breakfast. And my husband's like, no, we can't do that. I said, yeah. So that was my therapy for my brain injury. That was what it was. And it was great fun. And we still have the bed and breakfast, although I'm over it. But the only thing, I don't know if I even mentioned how I had the brain injury, but I fell into a basement, and I had a pretty serious brain injury. I was not able to walk alone. I never was without serious headaches. I couldn't read. I had beautiful handwriting. Sorry, my little dog has. But I couldn't write anymore. It would be partly cursive, partly printing. And, so the therapy for me working on the bed and breakfast was good. It was good. It gave me something to think about and something to do, besides trying to figure out how I was going to take care of my brain injury. So that's kind of where we were. I felt like for 10 years, all I did was try to figure out how to fix my brain injury, how to be me, because I knew that I wasn't. I didn't know who I was, but I knew that I wasn't me, and I wasn't happy with that. So I did a lot of searching for anything that might help a brain injury. And so I would just do it and do it and do it. It was like an obsession with me to find the next thing until about 4 or 5 years ago when I realized that I could accept who I was and that I needed to do that. And as that I was going through that, we had a car accident, rolled a truck, and re-injured my brain. So I knew that I just couldn't start over, but the injury wasn't nearly as bad as the first one. So it makes me, it has me unable to complete sentences a lot of times, but not be able to follow through with a thought and not be able to come up with words a lot of times. So for me, a big key is accepting what I have and being happy with that. But I'm not happy with that, and that's why I'm here. So I don't know how many people know who Madeline, and who's one of my, Madeline, I can't think of her last name. Anyway, she had told me about QHS, about this device. Everybody needed to have this device. She had it and her daughter had it, and it was only going to be open for a limited time. I needed to do this, and I knew right away I needed to do this. So I just told my husband, I said, there's something, I don't know what it is, I just believe it's going to help me. And so I just believed that what she told me was true. And so I went ahead and joined, and that's how I got into the QHS. Then I got my device. I thought it took about 5 years for it to come. I was so anxious. And when I got it, I put it on the little cord around my neck, and the first thing that I felt was, I think probably what most everyone feels, it's like a calm just kind of comes over you. But I really hated having it on my neck. It just was always in the way or something. So now I will just carry it in my hip pocket, or I'll put it in another pocket, or I'll just sometimes I can even just make it stick to my skin, and then I panic because I think I might lose it. But it has really, besides the calm, I was listening to one of the stories, I don't remember what it was, and somebody said that they placed their device somewhere and it helped them. I don't remember if it was on their knee or what it was. And I thought, you can put it wherever you want. So I started putting it wherever I was having pain. Like I would put it on my head, or on my neck, or on my knee, wherever the pain was today, I would just put it there and leave it there. And it was amazing to me how quickly it just was like released. And then I was putting it in my bed underneath my pillow, and my husband was having problems with a shoulder, and he said, my shoulder's getting better. So one night I said, well, here, put this on your shoulder. And so he slept with it on the shoulder, and in the morning he said, it doesn't hurt. And so I didn't even tell him, I don't think, that the Q9 where I had gotten the notice about the Q9. So right away, I went ahead and said, I want one of those. So I did that. And then when he said, my shoulder's better, I said, they have a new one coming out. I told him all about it. And I said, do you want one? And he's like, oh yeah. So I said, well, you have to sign up yourself. And he doesn't do any of that. So he signed up, and he asks me very often, when are they coming? When are they coming? So he's pretty anxious for it too. He has been he has been my biggest supporter through all of this. He's always there for me. He's never once complained about how he has to take care of me, how he has to find my things. So I just know, without a doubt, I've known right from the beginning that my brain injury is going to be better, that I'm going to be able to be the old me that I remembered. And I just know, and I get so excited, not only that I'm going to be better, but the people in the world that are going to be better, that my own family who has issues are going to be better. When we did the Zoom call last week, and people had the V9s and were telling, I just wanted to cry for them. Not, I'm anxious to be able to carry on better, feel like I'm able to support other people better, but I'm just so happy that that other people's lives are going to be affected so much by what we're doing. And I can't even explain how every one of those people who talk, I just wanted to give them a hug. So I appreciate everything that's happening. I appreciate everyone sharing their stories. It's so when you have a brain injury, no one really knows what that is. And they all say, but you look good. And so whenever I'm having a problem, my husband always says, but you look good. So that's just our joke. So I will be happy when we all feel like that, when we all know that we're able to help other people. And so that's what I am.
Join us on the Prequel, where every story matters and every voice is heard. Because here at QHS, we're all about healing, learning, and growing together.